G'day, patrons, and here we are again with another Overflow episode because there's just so much fucking going on around the world at the moment, particularly in the cooker world, and particularly the cookers in New Zealand who are truly cooked, right?
Making us look like cunts. I mean, we thought we were cool.
Oh man, they've gone ballistic. They've got, they got some good arsonists there. You'd have to say.
We did that first. They're copying. They're copying us again.
They had a more toxic fire,
They did a really
They're
good job.
They're throwing on shitty old mattresses and tents on it,
Yeah, it was pretty impressive. And they burned a playground, which just makes them so endearing to the public. So endearing.
Yeah, the situation in Aotearoa has been completely fucked. Wellington has been occupied for the good, best part of a month. I think we're up to around day 23 to day 24. And the New Zealand cops, who were just endlessly patient, said, "We've had enough. We've had enough.
It's over."
And they finally came and cleared the camp out. But the protesters didn't sort of say, "Yeah, we agree."
No.
We've had our fun. They did not leave gracefully.
No, not at all. They built this elaborate campsite with all the usual structures like kitchens and shit to sustain themselves, all the tents, blah, blah, blah. And albeit quite badly, they did manage to make something somewhat sustainable, which is terrifying. This included a toilet block that they called the Beehive. Because, the parliament's called the Beehive.
Play on words.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. But see, the waste was going into wastewater instead of sewage because libertarians are cunts and they do shit like that because they don't care. They just don't give a fuck. And this, seriously leads to the question, and it's completely reasonable when it comes to this soft touch with the cops. How the fuck did cookers manage to erect an entire toilet block in an illegal camp in the first place?
Well, yeah, but it does get back to that, pissing and shitting everywhere. And cholera was well on the way to New Zealand as well. But, yeah, look, the cops took a leaf out of the Ottawa playbook and treated the protesters with absolute kid gloves early on, allowing them to take over the area and firmly entrench themselves, build some shit houses.
Yeah.
And they just, the cookers just went, "This is our place now."
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
But when they were ejected from the area, they went fucking ballistic.
Oh, yeah. I mean, a lot of them were on the ground saying, you don't know what, you don't know what you're doing. We have nothing else, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, whose fault is that you, decided to just do some weird fucking road trip to nowhere, sell up everything, and just go and live in Parliament?
Well, it is. What? It is. But still, you have to think about this. They burnt their tents, or the tents had been taken from them. Yes. They have no vaccine passports or passes.
They can't stay in hotels and shit.
So they can't stay in hotels. They don't have any cars because they've been towed away.
Yeah.
The trains were cancelled. What were they going to do, Joel?
It is pretty tricky. It is pretty fucking tricky. And look, I do get the fact that there is a role for government in situations like this where you sort of provide a sense of humanitarian relief, but it's so difficult to do because all these cunts are like, how can you possibly put social worker type people in the front line with a group of people who will call them communists and yell at them and then say, "Where the fuck's my house?"
Your basic line is you can't help people who don't want to be helped.
That's it. That is exactly it. That basically sums it up. And yeah, so we're going to look further into New Zealand. Maybe we're going to get a guest. I'm probably going to do an email to David Farrier, and if he responds, that's great. And if not, well, so be it. But realistically, New Zealand has so many nuances that I think we need a guest to really flesh them out. And this is one nuance that I found fucking hilarious. And did you know this? The Governor General lives at number 1 Rugby Street. Did you fucking know that?
Yeah, well, look, that's
really funny. You seem very unmoved by that.
World leaders at that sport,
But the Governor General of the country lives at number 1 Rugby Street. That is funny. Meta is number 1 Hackaway. Microsoft is number 1 Microsoft Way. They have streets that they name intentionally, and they decided to get the highest office in the land to be on number 1 Rugby Street.
I don't know that they actually changed it. It probably goes back to about the 1850s.
It's very funny.
So when they've always loved their rugby over there.
I fucking love that.
I have quite a few New Zealand relatives, and It's pretty much all they talk about.
Well, they're very good at it, so what can you do? But yeah, one of the things about them, sort of having their shit towed away is that what they were doing is they were leaving dogs in cars so they couldn't be towed away.
Dear, oh dear, what is wrong with people? What is
Fucking
wrong
crazy.
with these people? So using dogs essentially as human shields, using children as human shields.
Big time. They openly talked on social media about the fact that if you bring kids to the front line, the cops can't use tear gas. They said explicitly. I imagine they probably said pepper spray in the same breath. And I don't even think they were using tear gas as such, but it was very, very...
So, no.
It was openly discussed in the fact that if you have kids in the crowd, the cops have limited options, and that is fucked up. Like Canberra, they kind of did it, but like they didn't say the quiet part out loud, and that's when you know that things have gone to the to the dogs, basically.
Yeah, to the dogs and the kids. Look, the cops were heavy with the pepper spray.
Could have been heavier,
and they also grabbed the LRAD.
They did.
But they seemed to turn it on at a sort of, they put it on about 7.
They put it on like 4. It was so mild. So mild. And they all didn't care. And the thing is, man, like, why crack out the LRAD? Why give them that footage of that noise? It sounds like one of those, like, cheap alarms you get that you sort of...
Yeah, it is, yeah.
And you pull it out, and it's just an awful sound. But it just sounded like, honestly, it sounded as loud as one of those pocket devices that you carry around just in case someone hassles you in the street. You pull the little pin out. Like, it was not loud at all, and no one cared.
Yeah, recording that sort of, if it was at volume, I guess that there are issues with recording, something at 160 decibels. When you replay that on a Facebook Live, it's not going to come out at 160 decibels, so it's hard to know.
If it was actually loud, it would have pierced through that fucking microphone, and it would.
I didn't see people running away from the LRAD.
No,
but of course, did they get sunburned?
They probably
they did a few weeks ago, but did they get sunburned from the LRAD this time?
They're not claiming the LRAD. These guys, what they're saying is actually it's EMF coming from government buildings.
Yeah.
So they're not that stupid. Yeah. They're different kinds of stupid. But like the LRAD I found specifically stupid because it's obviously a certain device with a certain purpose that's really not something you can hide because it makes a loud noise. But then the EMF come from the government buildings. I mean, you can kind of believe it more. Like, okay, it's a government building. Maybe they've got some devices in there.
It really was a sort of profound chicken and egg dilemma too, because they were screaming pedophiles at buildings, Joel.
Yes.
While these buildings might have been, emitting EMFs, basically radiating them with them, they were screaming pedophiles at empty buildings, which is a very Australian cooker thing to do.
It is an Australian cooker thing too.
Who did this first? Who came first? Was it the chicken or the egg?
I would argue also, just as a bit of a semantic point here, that you don't know they're empty and you don't know there's no pedophiles in them. We've been through this before.
If it's a building, it's got pedophiles in it.
Often the case. So I think they've got a pretty good bet. But
did we see Karen Brewer there?
No. She's selling her house, actually. That's a thing that came out recently. She's selling her house.
So she's going to pay the outstanding money?
No, I don't think that's on the cards.
In the defo that she took against the National Party.
But I don't think Karen Brewer is doing well financially, which, is understandable considering I don't think she's had a job for several years.
Well, and I guess who would employ her now?
Truly. Absolutely. And she doesn't really ask for donations either.
We have a Karen Brewer here interested in the vacancy.
Yes. Can you do a police check on that name?
And then you I'll just Google her, see what comes up.
Yeah. Who is your
here's her
daddy?
Facebook page. Who's your daddy?
Yeah. And the
And
great thing is the employers there going, shit, I am a Freemason demole. I better steer clear of this broad.
That's right. Yeah, I got the funny handshake and all. Yeah, I want to employ her. No, Karen didn't turn up, but there was sort of open discussion about the Heffernan suppression order, like somehow it means something in New Zealand.
Totally a thing. It's totally a thing over there. I couldn't fucking believe it. I've seen this mostly in social media posts, but like, honestly, get your own pedophiles. Don't steal ours. They're ours.
Stop glomming on our pedos.
I mean, look, Karen Brewer obviously is obsessed with the Heffernan Expression Order, but like she came to New Zealand. Like I'm not sure if she's a Kiwi that came to Australia, blah blah. But
I don't know, but yeah, she made her bones in Australia.
She's got her dick all through Australia, whereas this fucking random Kiwi stealing our pedos and fucking calling them around. Piss off. We get Crowded House.
Pedos.
Half the band were Australians,
cookers.
to be fair. The one that no one cares about. Poor Hesse, we love him. Bless him. Made me sad. But like, Russie, we can take Russell Crowe, I reckon, sort of. But like when it comes to Heffernan, get your hands off him. Not yours. Not yours at all.
Not your pedos.
Fuck off.
Not your pedos, NZ cookers. Leave our pedos alone. We've got hardly enough of them to go around. You could yell at a building and actually not abuse one of them.
It's very tricky. There's only 28, or as Tom Tanuki said, maybe 30. I don't know. Who knows?
They did have the common law sheriffs, which might be another Australian idea. I don't know, but
it's so American. But this guy, like, instead of having like a toy shop badge, he had a jacket with like printed insignia saying like common law sheriff.
That's too formal.
It's great. Like, it made me happy. And it was like,
you just need the polo shirt. You just need the polo shirt, and everyone respects the polo shirt.
You love the polo shirt. I feel like you've got like a thing about polo shirts that's really come out in this podcast. It's really good. You should definitely explore that.
I would literally kill to get hold of a common law sheriff polo shirt. Yeah. I would love one of those.
It really is. It's one of those things like you just wear it all the time and you just walk up to people and just bop them on the head. Just checking on you, mate. It's all good.
And while saving the children, they managed to set fire to a playground.
Yes, they did. Yeah, isn't that just the fucking poetic justice of the day?
Save the children. Go and stand over there. The swings have been burned.